This is NHTV2, North Haven Government Television, a service of North Haven Community Television. The following program is brought to you in part through a grant from the town of North Haven.
Okay, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for being here. It's a great pleasure today. We're honored to have the Honorable Governor Dannel Malloy here with us today, our State Representative Dave Yaccarino, our State Senator Len Fasano, and our State Senator, an old friend of mine, Marty Looney from Notre Dame High School. So, Marty, it's great to see you here also. This is a great day here in North Haven. It's a great day because the STEAP grants that are issued throughout cities and towns in Connecticut are sometimes can be hard to come by. One of the goals of our administration is to improve the parks across all of North Haven. And we're working with Andrea Samperi here, who lives in that area. And this STEAP grant that we've been kind enough to receive, or has been kind enough to be given to us, will help refurbish Canna Park in the very important Grove section here in North Haven. And for those residents watching on North Haven TV, we have a lot of goals and objectives for the rest of the parks. Also, on a separate note, we're very grateful to the state of Connecticut, to the governor, to our state legislators, for the $750,000 grant we received to make Town Hall here ADA compliant. And by the end of this month, we'll be finished with this project. So, I'd like to say this before I turn it over to Governor Malloy. I'd like to thank Dave Yaccarino, Len Fasano, Senator Martin Looney for working with us so closely here in North Haven, and a very special thanks goes to our governor, Governor Malloy, for his support for us here in North Haven in helping us get these grants. And Governor, it's always a pleasure to be with you here in North Haven.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I want to say of your leader here, he has my phone number. He calls me on a regular basis. In fact, yesterday left a message that he was looking forward to, because we had reached out and said we wanted to do this announcement on the spot, and welcomed me to the community. But he has called any number of times directly to me to make sure that roads that he needed some assistance with might get some assistance, and other projects. And so I really appreciate the relationship as well. To the members of the legislature, senators and representatives, I want to thank you for all of your hard work. We don't always agree 100% of the time, but we always work together, and I very much appreciate that. It's great to be here in town. We are making a grant of $127,240 for the refurbishment of this park. I have to say that I'm happy that the park will be refurbished. I know it's an important issue within the community. That was clear from the application. And I think any time that a community, and particularly the neighborhood in the area of a park, wants to rally around a park, that's a good thing and should be encouraged. And so when I saw this application, I thought it would be a great application to make sure that got funded. Just so that you understand, we have set aside money because of the legislative action in our budget to make grants to smaller communities, to make sure that funds are being distributed to those communities, as well as the larger business centers or job centers. It really is a way of making sure that there's some level of equity within that system. And what we look forward in my administration to doing with these funds, not only making an investment in the community, but also putting people back to work, making sure jobs are getting done, that communities are being built, that neighborhoods are being helped, and yes, that these dollars get spent rapidly and helps to put people back to work, particularly in a tough economy where continuing in the construction trades, there's still not quite enough work to get us back to where we need to be. By partnering together, state government and local governments, and particularly smaller local governments, we're able to do these kinds of things, and that's what we're trying to get done here in this community. I was down in Branford just a little earlier today, about an hour and a half ago, where we announced another project there that will allow for the purchase of the post office building right on the harbor, right across the street from the harbor. And what they're going to do is keep the post office in the building, but then add men and women's room facilities, so that they don't have to have the portables right on the beach. So it makes a lot of sense. And I want to say that you know, that you've all done a great job. It's great working with you, Michael, and it's great working with the members of the legislative delegation. Now, as I understand it, you've got 20% of the town?
Maybe even less.
Maybe even less? I'm not talking about who turns out to vote for you. I'm just talking about, and then so you have the rest of it, right? And then what?
The whole town. Dave's got the whole town.
You got the whole town, and anything beyond the limits?
Just the great town of North
Just the
Haven.
great town of North Haven. Great. Well, it's great to be with everybody. And who's up next? Are you doing it?
I wanted to invite Dave and Len and Marty, whom we work very, very closely with here. This is a great team for us. These three gentlemen here at a local level really work closely with us here in North Haven. I'd like to give them the opportunity to say a few words.
Thank you very much. First Selectman Mike Freda does, as you all know, an extraordinary job here in North Haven, and it's a great pleasure to be here today with the governor to announce this funding under the STEAP program. As we know, small towns and medium-sized towns like North Haven have significant capital needs, just as larger cities do. And a number of years ago, we created the STEAP program to provide grants to smaller towns. Larger cities like New Haven and Hartford and Bridgeport and Waterbury often rely upon the Urban Act program and Urban Act bonding funding for projects. But it's also important for small and medium-sized towns to have access to capital funding for significant projects like the one the governor announced here today. So I think that the governor, as governor of the whole state, pays attention to the needs of all of the communities, large, medium, and small. And I share his pleasure in being here today, as I represent obviously a fraction of North Haven as well as most of New Haven and Hamden. And that part of North Haven just came into my district with the new redistricting that took place just 2 years ago. But Mike Freda and I have been friends for a long time, as he mentioned, fellow grads of Notre Dame High School, which has produced on a bipartisan basis many elected officials in the state. On the Republican side, along with Mike, former Senators Bill Anaskovich and Len Suzio, and former Representatives Chris DePino and Bob Ward. And on the Democratic side, myself and my predecessor in the state Senate, Tony Avalone, and Representatives Ron Smoko and Joe Adamo. So Notre Dame has produced a lot of elected political officials on a bipartisan basis throughout the years, and we all try to work together in a consensus basis to try to make sure that Connecticut politics doesn't become as polarized as Washington politics has become. So it's a great pleasure to be here today with Representative Yaccarino and Senator Len Fasano. He and I are counterparts in the state Senate, with me as the majority leader and he as the deputy Republican leader in terms of managing and organizing the business on the floor. And it's always a good cooperative relationship. And again, it's great to be here with the governor, who, as we all know, is pushing hard on economic development on so many fronts, despite the fact that the budget times continue to be constrained. Thanks very much.
Thank you. First, I'd like to thank the governor and the Office of Policy Management for your hard work and dedication to small towns and these projects like this. And of course, our first selectman, Mike Freda, and really the Department of Finance of North Haven, that's Winkowski and the whole group. I'll forget Roxanne. But these parks are so important. We spoke about how we got here, but the parks itself are so important for the well-being and activities for the citizens of North Haven and the kids and adults. I actually played at that park when I was a kid. I played basketball quite a bit. I didn't play as much tennis. But it's important that we have a governor and a first selectman and really a team of Len and Martin to work together and do this, to do what's right for the community. And this is money well spent. And I'd like to thank you all for being here, and enjoy the rest of the summer. Thank you.
I'll keep it short. I did not go to Notre Dame High School. I did not graduate from Notre Dame High School. I was very impressed that he was able to come up with these names like that out of Notre Dame. But Marty does that quite frequently. He's very good with names and dates. I want to thank the governor. You know, the STEAP grant is something that small towns depend upon an awful lot. And it doesn't escape me that is a discretionary fund for which the governor can make the call upon which towns get what and for what reason. And I want to thank the governor for picking North Haven and for picking this project that is so important to the neighborhood and to the town of North Haven. I want to thank Mike for his leadership in determining what is important, and that park is important, and what you've done for the schools and the parks around the town have been phenomenal, and your leadership has been unbelievable in this. It's been a pleasure to work with Marty. I was trying to think when I first met Marty, because we've known each other so long. I don't even know if we ever officially met. We just kind of know everybody and went to same events, and it's been a pleasure to work with Marty as a new representative of the town of North Haven. I know it's new to him, but certainly being in that position, but not the area. Marty's always been a friend to North Haven. Whenever I've needed help and talked to him about bills, he's always been open-minded, and I thank you, Marty. And Dave Yaccarino's done such a great job in going into his second term up there, has really shown those qualities that have helped the town of North Haven. So it's a terrific legislative team and a governor who respects that and has been always, you know, what he did with Hurricane Sandy and Irene and the snow. You know, since you've been governor, we've had more weather phenomena.
No, ever since we elected that woman lieutenant governor.
Oh, really? Okay. 30-inch snowstorms, blizzards, but you've done such a great job and shown such a great leadership in those roles, and I want to thank you. Once again, thank you very much, Mike.
As we conclude, as Governor Malloy well knows, being the mayor of Stamford for many, many years, that it's really not us here, it's our staff that really helps us greatly. And I'd like to give a special accommodation and notification and notify everyone here that our finance staff, in particular Roxanne Bouchard, who really is our grant writer. Roxanne, would you stand for a second? Our Director of Public Works, Lynn Sadowski, who is very instrumental. We have Ed Swinkowski back there, our Director of Finance. I'd like to thank all of the staff and Governor Malloy. We have our Fire Chief, Vincent Landicio, here, our Police Chief, Tom McLaughlin, our assessors here, Gary Johns, our staff here, Ellen and Anne Marie and Josephine.
Isn't anyone working in
You're right there, no one's working in town, right? So thank you very much, staff, for everything you do to have helped us make this happen. Thank you, and Governor, thank you again for being here.
Thank you very much. On point, I'll take some questions. Anybody? On point? On point? Yep, sure.
What's the total amount for the STEAP program?
Well, I think we're making 10 of the grants today, and I don't have the total, and then we'll make another round very shortly after that as well. I think it's $20 million in total per year is normally, and this is our second round of announcements. We'll have a third, I believe, very shortly. Okay. We also last week announced Main Street grants as well, so that was another $5 million that we made on to about 14 different communities as well.
How are the awards chosen?
It's really merit. It's really merit and the argument that's made in the grant itself. I thought this was a particularly neat one because the community was clearly involved, the immediate neighborhood, at least that's what a portion of the application indicated. And you know, I think any time that you can reinforce community involvement, particularly around the maintenance of a park, that's a great thing for a community. Ownership of a park by the adjoining community usually is the deciding factor whether a park meets everyone's expectation. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Great. Thanks.
The preceding program is brought to you in part through a grant from the town of North Haven. Watch town meetings or other videos on demand at nhtv.com. Like us on Facebook and subscribe to us on YouTube.